Hey guys, it's your guy Abdrazak Otokiti. Today we'll be looking at correlation. Now, what is correlation? Correlation is defined as a relationship between two or more variables. Now, correlation talks more about relationship between two variables in a data set. Now, let's take for example now, in this particular data set that we are having here, we have x-axis and y-axis. If you look at the data very well, you see that as x-axis is increasing, the y-axis is also increasing. In a situation whereby two variables are increasing together, then we tend to have a positive correlation, that is correlation of 1. Now, in a situation whereby the value of one variable is increasing while the value of another variable is decreasing, then we tend to have a negative correlation. Now, in a situation whereby the value of each of the variable are moving randomly, then we tend to have a correlation of 0 as it is the case in this situation. Now, let's look at sheet 2. So in this sheet 2, we are going to find the correlation within this data set. That is the correlation between the daily revenue, the number of orders that were placed by a client, and the number of Facebook posts made by Zach. So now, to find the correlation between the daily revenue and order and the number of order that was placed on a particular day, we simply use the Correl function in Excel to find the correlation between this comma and the daily revenue and the number of order that was placed by a client. Then you hit enter. So now you see that we have 0.97. That is to say we almost have 1. That is to say we have a positive correlation in this situation. Now let's take, for example, let's take a look at the number of the value of correlation between the daily revenue as to the Facebook post made by Zach. So now to do that, we also use the Correl function in Excel. Then we highlight the daily revenue cell, then we place comma, then we also select the Facebook post and close the bracket and hit enter. So now we tend to have here we have a correlation of 0.1. That is to say that there is no much relationship between the number of posts made by Zach as to that of daily revenue. So there is another function in Excel that we can use. There's another way in Excel that we can find correlation of between a certain variables. Now, to do that, you go to data, then you go to data analysis. Now in data analysis, you click on correlation, then you click OK, then you now select your input range. So now the input range will be from here till the end. You have to select the entire data. After selecting the entire data, then you close it, then you select label in first row. That is, our data has a label at the top row. Then you select where you want to put the data set. So now you click here. Let's take, for example, we want it to be in this place. Then you click OK. So now the data analysis software in the Excel has already calculated it for us. You see that daily revenue and daily revenue will have a perfect correlation. Number of order and number of orders will definitely have a perfect correlation. Then the number of posts made by Zach and the number of posts made by Zach will also have a perfect correlation. But if you look at the number of order that was placed on a daily basis as compared to the daily revenue, you see that it tends to have a 0.972297. So you see that it's almost a perfect correlation. That is to tell you that as the number of order increases, the daily revenue increases. Now, as compared to the number of order that was placed as in regards to the daily revenue, what you have there is 0. So now In the case of the number of posts that was made by Zach, if you find the relationship between it and daily revenue, you see that you tend to have 0.09778, a correlation of almost zero. That is to tell you that it has a very weak positive correlation. Now, if you also compare that of the number of posts that was made by Zach and that of the number of order that was placed by a client, you see that we also have 0.094800279. That is to tell you that it's almost zero also. That is, the number of posts that was made by Zach does not determine the revenue that will be generated on a particular day. Now, these are the value that a correlation can take. So now, if you have a value of 1, a correlation of 1, that means it's a perfectly positive correlation. When you have 0.7 to 1, it tells you that there is a strong positive relationship between the two variables. When you have a 0.3 to 0.7, then you have a moderate positive relationship. But when you have 0 to 0.3, you have a very weak positive relationship. Then a 0 means no correlation, and if as you go towards the negative, you also have a negative correlation there. So now, in this case, you now see that since we are having 0.094, this tells you that the number of posts that was made by Zach does not determine the average sales that was placed, the daily revenue that we made on that particular day, or the number of order that was placed by a client on that particular day. Guys, this is how you find correlation in Excel. Thanks for listening and hope to see you next time. All right, bye-bye.